Hi children, I am Rachna Rana, your English teacher, and today I am here with a new poem, The Children's Are. Dear children, this is the poem by Henry Wordsworth Longfellow. Henry Wordsworth Longfellow, 1807 to 1882. Mr. Fellow was an eminent figure in the literary and social life of 19th century America. He was a traveler and a linguist too. He was an inspirational icon for America's artistic culture, and some of his best known poems are The Song of Yavada, Evangeline, A Tale of Acadie, and Paul Revere's Ride. He created myths and classic epics from American historical events. Dear children, this is the beautiful poem. The name of the poem is The Children's Are, and this poem is the deeply affectionate bond of a father and his three daughters. Let's read out. Let's start. First of all, summary of this poem is: The children's hour is the name the speaker gives to an hour in the evening, sometime between the dark and the dawn. He is working by lamplight in his study and hears the footsteps and the sweet, hushed voices of his three daughters. A door opens and he can see Alice, Allegra, and Edith slipping down the steps as they plot and plan to ambush him. Suddenly, they rush and surround him as if conducting a raid on a castle. They climb on his chair, seemingly everywhere at once. They kiss him joyfully and throw their arms around him, reminding him of the Bishop of Bingen, a character from a folk tale who had been surrounded and devoured by mice in his tower. He laughingly addresses them, asking if they think that this old mustache is no match for them, just because they have managed to scale the walls. He will hold them prisoner here, placing them in the dungeon of his heart. There they will live forever until the walls crumble into dust. So dear children, this was the beautiful poem. This was the summary of the beautiful poem. Just read this poem very carefully. Thank you and have a nice day to all. Good morning children. I am Rachna Rana. Today I am here with a new chapter of class 8th, When the Mob Count Did Not Tally. The author of this chapter is Mrs. Sudha Murthy. She was born on 1950. She is the chairperson of Infosys Foundation, a non-profit organization that provides help and support to the underprivileged sections of society. She is also a renowned author and writes in both Kannada and English. Her work include Yashasvi how I taught my grandmother to read, and other stories, wise and otherwise, and here, there, everywhere. Dear children, let's start the summary of this chapter. We came across a real and inspirational story when the mob count did not tally, from the life of Mrs. Sudha Murthy, chairperson of Infosys Foundation and a prolific writer, few days back. We thought to rewrite it in our own words, believing each one of us will have an opportunity to learn something from this read. Mrs. Sudha Murthy's father was a doctor and a very popular professor of obstetrics and gynecology. During his lectures, he used to tell stories every now and then, usually the real life incidents. In order to liven up the lectures, she once asked his father, "Why do you tell so many stories in a medical class?" To which he replied, "If I use stories, then it's easy for my students to understand. Moreover, one cannot hold a student's attention for more than 45 minutes at a stretch, even if the lecture is interesting. So if I add stories, I can stretch their concentration span for up to 2 hours. So dear children, good morning dear children. Today we are here with the summary of the chapter when the mob count did not tally of class 8th. So without wasting our time, let's start. The surgeon started searching inside the abdomen. He found no mob. The nurse searched the OT, but she too could not find the missing mob. She was quite concerned. If the mob count did not tally, the surgeon could not stitch up the patient's abdomen. The surgeon was concerned too. He insisted that if the missing mob was not found, then there must have been an error in the initial count. But the sister was very confident and said that she was not wrong in her count. The surgeon became impatient and asked for the needle and the catgut. The sister politely but firmly refused to do so. The surgeon, controlling his anger, searched the abdomen again and then ordered the nurse to give him the needle and the catgut, as he was the senior. However, the nurse does not change her stance. The doctor tells her that if she did not obey his instructions, he will dismiss her after the operation. The nurse, the eldest and only earning member in her family, was worried, but she still refuses to hand over the needle and the catgut. It was turning out to be an impossible situation. The inexperienced nurse's apparent defiance had the surgeon fuming. He was so upset that he did not know what to do. He looks down in frustration, only to see the blood-soaked cotton mop lying on the OT floor. "Hey, the mop is here," he exclaims. "Now the count is complete," he said, and the nurse immediately handed over the needle and the catgut. When everything was over, the surgeon called the nurse and appreciated her and apologized for pressuring her. Curiously, he asked her how could she stand her ground so firmly. She tells that she only followed her teacher's words If experienced teachers say something, then they must have their reasons. The surgeon was wonderstruck and immensely pleased. At the end of the story, her father would say, whose father? Yes, Mrs. Sudhamurthy's, the author of this chapter's father, would say, each patient is precious. Be careful. If a patient dies, it is just one more hospital death for the doctor. But for the unfortunate family, it is a permanent loss. This was an important principle that Sudhamurthy's father used to teach through this story. So, dear children, have a nice day to all of you. Just read the story carefully because it's a very important story. It's a very important story. Okay, dear children, have a nice day.